Also, you're going to be my intro. Do you think people need a coach?
Of course they do.
Of course they do. Okay. Well, I think this is the best intro I had so far. Thanks. Hi there guys, for those of you that are joining here for the first time, my name is Tim. I'm an Ironman triathlete, and on this channel I basically talk about triathlon tips and my own triathlon journey that I'm going to document throughout vlogs. I hope that this content helps, so if you're interested in more, be sure to check out my channel, and if you like the content, be sure to leave it a like or subscribe, whatever you choose. Maybe both, I don't know. Now today, as you might have guessed by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about triathlon coaches and coaches in general. So certain cases where you might not need a coach, and why you need a coach, or you might want a coach, specific cases that a coach has helped me, and also at the end of the video I'm going to mention some alternatives to coaches, as I know not everybody has the amount of money or time to spend on a coach. So there's a bit of content for everybody, I guess. So right off the bat, let's start off with the negatives, or cases where you might not need a coach. Now, one of the main reasons why you might not need a coach is if you're just starting out on a lower distance and you're not sure whether triathlon is for you. Now that's perfectly okay. Going in 1 foot at a time into this sport is a great idea, and it might be actually what's going to help you fall in love with this sport, for instance, instead of just being forced into the sport and overtraining, risking injury and stuff like that. So there are cases of people like that, and hats off to you guys. I hope you enjoy the sport, and yeah, you don't need a coach. The second case where you might not need a coach is if you know you're not going to have the time or consistency for one. Now, a lot of people have very busy lives, work from 9 to 5, have families, and a lot of other stuff. So if you're one of those people, you might not need a coach, because if you know you're going to be paying a certain amount of cash for things that you're not going to be using, you might be better off actually investing that money into other stuff, like a training plan, for instance, or just regularly some gear. Now, the final and the biggest reason for me why you might not need a coach is if you like to take things slow. Now, there's a lot of people that just don't want to go the distance or go the speed, and that's perfectly okay. If you want to go slow, as I said at the beginning, fall in love with a sport, that's okay. Maybe you're doing it because your friends are also doing it, you're enjoying the training process, you're enjoying the cycling sessions and all of that, and that's perfectly fine. You guys don't need a coach. Continue enjoying the sport. You might just want to stick to one certain distance and you know how to handle yourself. You don't need a coach. Now that we've finished those negative things, here are a few reasons why you might actually want a coach. So first of all, one of the biggest reasons why you might need a coach is if you're just starting out and want to have a good foundation. Now, a good foundation is very important in a high-load sport like this. Knowing how to properly approach your training session is definitely going to drastically decrease the chance of your injury or overtraining, which are some of the biggest reasons why people quit the sport or quit any sport, especially if it's injury. So watch out. Having a good foundation is definitely something that's going to help you in the long term. Now, the second case where you definitely might want to look into a coach is if you're going for a longer distance. Now, you might be a seasoned triathlete going on Olympic distances, sprint triathlons, or it might be your first time that you just want to take a big bite and go after the Ironman like I did. But whatever the case is, I definitely suggest going in for a coach for the longer distances. Those distances are going to hurt no matter what, because they are extreme distances, but by having a coach, you're going to be reducing the risk of injury. You're going to be well prepared for that distance. You're going to know how to do proper nutrition, how to properly train for that. You're going to know what hits you when it hits you, because trust me, it is going to be hitting you, especially the full Ironman, but also half Ironman if you're just a laid back person. It is going to hurt. Getting a coach for those disciplines is not only going to help you physically, but also mentally when push comes to shove. Now, the third case where you might need a coach is if you're in the sport for a longer period of time and you feel like you're stuck. Now, I myself chose to invest almost 3 years into this sport before I decided to get a coach, but at the period when I actually did look out for Andre, I know I found myself completely stuck. I did have the motivation, but I didn't feel like I was going to achieve what I set out to, specifically because I was already putting in big miles and I didn't see that much progress. So if you feel like you're stuck in the pretty much same situation, I definitely recommend going out and trying to find yourself a very good coach. Now, another case where you might want to coach is if you're lacking time. Now, 2 years back when I was a college student, I did have time to invest into sport. I was training almost 2 times daily and there were a lot of junk miles. 2 years later, or actually 3 years later, I have a 9-to-5 job and it's not as simple. So what I decided is I want to kick those junk miles out, and when I got myself a coach, I actually did that. Every training right now has its own purpose, whether I'm building strength, conditioning, doing slow fibers or fast fibers, or rest. Every training has its purpose, every day has its purpose, and it's leading you towards a certain goal, and thanks to that you're feeling more well achieved, and you feel like you have a sense of purpose, let's say. While if you're following a certain plan and you feel like you're stuck, as I said before, you're probably going to start feeling down, and it might get you mentally and might get you to even take a few days off that you might not need off, and it's going to mess the whole thing up. So if you're short on time and you want to find more time for your family, friends, social life, I definitely recommend trying to find a trainer that's going to adjust your training schedule towards your own personal life schedule. Bonus tips I'm going to give you guys is you're going to definitely need a coach if you want to do something professional out of this. It's a very hard sport, so don't expect getting to a certain point without any coach. Even the pro triathletes that are without coaches right now definitely have a long background with working with a coach, so they know what they're doing. Now that I said some pros and cons, before we dive into alternatives, there's one question you need to ask yourself before you get a coach, and that is, do you have the money to invest in a coach? Now, as I said, when I was a college student, I didn't have that much money to spend on a coach. I would much rather get myself gear or apply myself to new races and stuff like that. Now that I have a job, I definitely wanted to invest in a coach because I did want to advance to a certain point, but I didn't have the time, or I was afraid that I'm not going to have the time. So if you don't have the money, it's perfectly okay not to get a coach. It's perfectly okay to spend your money somewhere else, and I'm going to cover those alternatives now. But if you do have the money, I definitely recommend a coach because it's going to help you drastically. Now, with all that being said, here are some alternatives for you guys. So the first alternative I would recommend having a coach is apps. There are a multitude of apps like Strava, Training Peaks, Peakers that uses AI training and stuff like that. It's gonna help you get to a certain build. Now, there are paid and free alternatives, but let's say if you have the proper knowledge, things like Garmin Connect, Polar Flow, and Sunto Moves Count are definitely good apps that you can use to train yourself. You can plan future trainings, you can see your loads, you can see training loads, whether you're under stress or not, your sleep schedule and stuff like that. So if you have the knowledge, using those free tools is definitely going to help you improve to a certain amount of time. Or if you want to invest some money somewhere, you can also look at alternatives. As I said, there are Peakers, Strava Premium, I don't know what they call it now. I know Strava is messing their stuff up, but there are alternatives that are also paid, or Training Peaks plans, which leads me to my second point, training plans. Now, just like the case with apps, you have free training plans and you have expensive training plans, and you know how much money you give, you're probably going to get the same amount of quality. If you pay for a training plan, let's say on Training Peaks, which I definitely do recommend, I was looking into some myself before I got a coach, they are a good alternative and they are going to guide you through a certain level. So those plans can help you achieve certain goals, get to a certain time, but they're not going to guide you by the hand during the whole process, so you might not need that. But also, if you don't want to invest time and want to get most of the benefits of a training plan, there are free training plans. There are a lot of people that are doing free training plans for any certain distance. Just Google well enough. So I'm definitely going to try and find some and link them down below, but they are definitely good. Let's say for my half Ironman that I did in 5 hours and 4 or 5 minutes, I was using a free plan and it definitely did help me in the end. Now, the last alternative that I definitely recommend is actually investing in yourself, reading books, reading magazines, going through forums, finding out what works, because there is no one size fits all, and that's the biggest beauty of this sport. Some people are very good at swimming, some people are very good at running, some people are amazing at cycling, but you're rarely gonna find a certain type of training plan that's gonna fit everybody. Now everybody needs pretty much the same basics like strength training, conditioning and stuff like that, but again it's gonna need to be catered to specific people. So if you're a very good swimmer, you're not gonna be investing the majority of your training into swimming, let's say like that. So what I recommend to you guys is go out, read, educate yourself, and throughout time, also with the help of a coach, if you decide to get one, you are going to reach a certain point where you are going to be able to train yourself or others if you decide to get a certification. So that will be pretty much it for this video. I really hope you liked it. I hope you found it helpful and it helped you reach to a conclusion whether you should hire a coach or not. And yeah, thanks for watching. So I'm mid-editing now, and before I finish this, I just wanted to add one quick helpful tip. So be sure also to check out YouTube channels. My own coach, Andrei Vishca, he also has a YouTube channel. I'm gonna link him here or here. He has great stuff that I've been using before we started working together to get my triathlon game to a certain level. Of course, now that I've worked with him, it's much better, but I did learn a lot from him. Also, Triathlon Terran definitely helped, and there are other YouTubers that could help you with minor stuff, so be sure also to check those guys out. Shout out to them, and I'm gonna use this opportunity to really thank those guys for putting out free triathlon content. And yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna go back to editing, and let's finish this video.